Day 127 because my last video uploaded the next day. And I have exactly 25 minutes to talk. Then I have an appointment with my boss. I saw an old post from, I think it was Sean Baker, and I looked into the comments because I was curious, what was the most surprisingly thing, or the thing that you missed the most on Carnivore, or that you learned new and so on, something around that. So I read the comment, and it's really interesting because that's exactly what happened to me. It's not about just eating meat, it's about the whole other things that are happening, and that are very consuming also, and can be overwhelming. Because let's start with some facts, or not facts, carnivore facts versus what everyone else said or says, depending on how you see it. It's around wearing sunglasses. So eyes need sun, don't wear sunglasses. That's something also Dr. Haberman said. And a lot of different not carnivore people. So that's something new, because in the beginning it was like, protect your eyes, always wear sunglasses, sun is bad. And now it's the complete opposite. So that's very interesting, because I really stopped wearing sunglasses only occasionally when the sun is really disturbing, or I have to maybe use the car and it's really getting into my eyes. But I try not to, because it's really not necessary. And it does make sense to go back like the people before. I don't think that we are not made to wear things that protect our skin, actually, or our eyes, or these kind of things from sunlight in the first place. We are just adding things to our life, and that's something maybe you need to question in the end, because that's something interesting. Also the sunscreen part, a very interesting one, but a very dangerous one, because the sunscreen contain a lot of shit, and especially the skin. If you ever tried, for example, to use ibuprofen cream for some back pain, it immediately helps, for me especially, and most of the people get the same reaction. So it helps much faster than to swallow a pill. So everything you put on your skin, it's absorbed much faster most of the time. So if you put the sunscreen in and there are toxins in, or something that are not good for your body, you will absorb it much faster. And that's why sunscreen is really shitty, because if I looked at the sunscreens which don't contain any toxins and this kind of thing, and they're all natural, it's horrible. I look like I'm purple. You can't even wash it. Even a little bit of it just doesn't go away. So all the not toxic sunscreens I then tried are just awful. So it's a little bit difficult. So what I saw at Lily's, and what really works, is to really get the sunlight only in the morning, and in around 3-4, depending on where you are, without sunscreen, because this is really working very well. If it's not in a 12-1, because that's when I got burned when I was camping, because I thought, oh, now I'm a carnivore, sun cannot damage my skin. Oh, it damaged the skin so bad. So especially the time factor on carnivore is also to be considered, when most people say it's around 6 months. On carnivore, your skin will produce the things you need to not get sunburned. So, but with this fact, I will be very careful, and I made the problem, so I did have the sunburn, but I also tried the morning and evening sunlight exposure, and that works very well without having sunburns, actually, and less sunburns. That's true, actually, for me. So I can tell you that it's getting better, it seems, and the sun is really, really extreme right now. So that's the sun part. Then also, just to even get over these things that fat is good, that meat is good, that the things we learned are just crap. It's also very difficult on the whole journey, and it's just new and different to figure out who's lying. And especially also now, I'm sorry, Sean Baker, you shared an AI video, and these kind of things, it's not about the message, but if you share a video which you don't really focus on checking if this is what they said and did and how it's manipulated, you're really screwing your whole credibility. So that's a little bit a tricky one, especially now with the AI showing up with the same audio like the person in the video, and you know, the same information maybe there was on a podcast, but still it's a little bit modified. You really have to be careful around that, especially with stuff from Elon Musk. He's a very, very good target for the whole AI stuff right now. And Biden, also very famous for the AI memes people. So just be very, very careful with that. Consuming on the internet is hardcore these days. And you can always check the comments. That's what I said in my last video. Check the comments. As an IT girl, I'm always checking the comments, and you will immediately see and have a little bit of a feeling, is it right, is it not, or where to look if something is true or not. So if there is is an interview with Elon Musk and you look at the comments, somebody said, okay, I heard it at the podcast or here and there, then you can check the podcast and see if this is really true before sharing, especially with such a big audience like Baker. So, careful with that. So that's also a part of the carnivore, how you consume all your media and data and things. And we are considered more of conspiracy theorists because what does conspiracy theory actually mean in the end? It's some people just think differently than the government or the media who is paid by the government. And that's the how do you say that? That's how the people take away your credibility by just calling you conspiracy theorist just because you don't believe in certain things. It doesn't matter what it is in the end. And but the questioning stuff should always be a good thing. But people made it a bad thing. Also in schools, if a child questions something, for example, a child from a colleague of mine, he said, why should I do homework? I'm writing the best grades. I'm always doing the right thing. I know everything. Ask me what you want. What's the issue? Why do I have to do homework? People who are stupid have to train and, learn these things. They have to do homeworks. I get that, but I don't have to. And he was like, I think he was 11 or 12 at the time. He's completely true. That's true in the end. Of course, you have to do some other stuff until you get the goal. But he was put in a situation where they called his parents and they called the director to do that, instead of looking at their own perspective and just explain it maybe differently to him, or say, in work you also have a goal, but also the things you're doing until you reach this goal is important. So that's why what you're learning with homework or something like that. But just everyone who's questioning how things work, especially for school or law or government things or taxes and these kind of things, and especially injections, what medical stuff, nutritional stuff, food industry, and even us saying the facts, which is just a fact, who is working with whom, and look at the studies, who paid for the studies, and what is your logical view on that. They call us then conspiracy theorists. So let me know who's in the right here, because that's just stupid. And that's what carnivores are putting into this corner, that we are all crazy, we are all against everything and we do things so differently, just because we see the things like they are. It's not even seeing it differently. We just see what's black and white, what the results are in the end, and just comparing it and being a little bit more critical. And that's a little bit the point that I saw also on Carnivore, especially. Also things like just medical stuff, do we need the medicine? Which one do we really need? What should we stop using? For me, especially with my MS, and when should we go to the hospital in the end, or to the medical care or family doctors and so on? And that's a thing we all question and try to avoid. And that's a lot of quotes that showed, if you have a doctor that doesn't ask you, what do you do for living, sports, stress, how is your nutritional status, and they just give you pills, then you have a drug dealer, not a doctor. And that's really true. But in the end, what's the problem? The doctors don't have time anymore. I talked to a friend of mine. We've been at the lady girls night out, and she's a doctor, family doctor, and we talked about it. And she said, you know what, because of the law, I have 2 minutes for each patient. How should I ask them what their whole life story is? First one. Second one, MRIs. They're all, why shouldn't just we do the MRI? It's so easy, and then you see what's wrong in my brain. Because you can't. There is such a big waiting list for these kind of things. It's very expensive, and you cannot offer an MRI for every person that has a little bit of a headache, because people are really getting into this, oh my God, I need a picture of my brain. Then I know what's wrong with me, and I don't try anything else before. It's hard. It's hard also for the doctors, so we cannot blame doctors. But that's one thing I also talked in Adam's podcast. It's about the red and the black ants we have in a jar. They don't fight, usually. They don't. Until you shake this stupid glass, then they start fighting each other. But the question is, who's shaking this fucking glass? And that's what I talked, analogy, I think it's called. Because I see that like this. We're having the black ants, like vegans or American diet or whatever. We have the red ants, it's like carnivores. And we don't fight each other because we have no reason for it. They should do what they want, and we should do what we want. The ones who are making us fight is the media, it's the government, it's the ones who are just sitting there watching us fighting and say, look at them, idiots. And that's with every topic we have. Actually, every topic. Diabetes, same thing, don't eat meat. I talked to a colleague with diabetes 1. I just can't. It's making me crazy. I told her, why do you eat at McDonald's? Right now we're sitting at McDonald's because my colleague had to put her car into electro, so charging it. So we were all sitting there, and she was ordering like this big shit carbs, sugar stuff. And I said, don't you have diabetes 1? And she said, yeah, but food doesn't matter. I said, what do you mean? You have the pump, you're constantly in the hospital, your eyes are really bad, you're like 90% of the time we're working together, you're in hospital. How can food not matter? No, I do have to have carbs, a lot of carbs, according to my doctor. And I told her, okay, but there are, just look into a different kind of perspective, because there are a lot of studies and doctors telling you the exact opposite. Don't tell me what to do. Okay, I'm not telling you what to do, I'm just giving you some other perspective, and I'm getting out of this situation. And that's exactly what the problem is in the end, because you see people being just stupid, not by having another opinion, but not looking into other opinions. And that's what's triggering us people the most, especially with kids. Teachers giving them for reward sugar or chocolate and these kind of things, and we're saying, it's okay, it's a kid, it's fine, it's just a little bit of chocolate. I was the queen of giving kids chocolate and making big feasts with only cookies and everything, shitty stuff. I was the queen of it. So Carnivore did open my eyes just to see myself from another perspective and see what stupid things I'm doing. So Carnivore has a lot of things to offer, and just a little bit looking more, having more open eyes. So it's not only about nutrition, and that's one thing I really can tell you. I looked into a lot of things, and just also being alone then in this war of information. Just find your community where you can be yourself. That's why I'm so happy that I have this channel, because I found a community that understands me, and people who don't fight me and judge me for just not being an idiot, and just taking everything like consuming stuff from the government or systems or things that they call themselves gurus. I just question it and try it out, and that's the difference. I'm just trying it out and see what works for me in the end. And so happy to know what is for you, what you learned, what's your changes that Carnivore made for you, besides the nutritional or weight parts. But your aha moments on Carnivore, I would love to hear. And it's so hot in here, so I'm having a meeting. Bye, see you tomorrow as always.